Hey everybody, welcome to our number guess version number 1 program. As you can see up in here, this is going to use our simple if, elif, and else in Python. And the very first thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and copy this. Whoops. Well, that's wrong. Oh well. Go ahead and copy all of this stuff in. And before you do anything else, just pause the video, get all this into your code sculptor, and come on back after you've done that so we can go ahead and get started on the actual logic of the program. What we've done here, what I've done is something like a pseudocode sort of setup where I have comments telling us what we're going to do to write this program, and we kind of have it all set up. Now we just have to write the code. So just to take a look at what we're going to do, we're going to have our user guess a number between 1 and whatever we specify as the limit, the upper limit. We're going to make our random number. We're going to greet our user. We're going to get their guess, test their guess, and then, of course, say bye, see you later. In this first version of the program, this is designed with Adhesives Module 3, so it does not include loops. This is just a simple one guess, and that's all you've got. All right, so assuming you have all of this stuff in, the very first thing you have to do is we're going to be generating a random number between 1 and whatever limit. So the very first thing we have to do is we have to import the random library. And step number 1 then, random.seed. So that way it'll get our library all set to use. To be perfectly honest with you, sometimes I do not use the random.seed and it works okay, but this is probably the better way to do it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set our upper limit. So what I've did is just generated a variable called randLimit. And I'm just going to set that to be 25. You don't need any data types or anything here. Python will know that that's a number, so it'll be just fine. And we'll go ahead and generate our random. In the sake of not typing, or typing as little as humanly possible, I usually go with easy variable names. This is R1, and this is going to be the actual variable we set to hold our random number. And that will be a random integer between 1 and whatever we set is our random limit right there. Now, when you're writing a program, I believe we've talked about things like this before, you want to make sure that you test frequently. So let's go ahead and just print out our R1 variable just as a test. So whenever you hit the run, you should get over on the right in your output a different number each time, which we are definitely getting, as you can see. So we're going to leave that here. So if when you actually run the program, you'll want to comment that out. It's not a very fun thing to guess a number that you can very clearly see on your screen. So you'll comment that out. But for testing purposes, we really want to make sure that it stays there so we can test our conditions. So now we go ahead and welcome our user. I'm going to cheat just a little bit, and I've pre-written this code, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the next 2 statements. And you can go ahead, pause that video, get those onto your screen. But these are statements that you should be very familiar with. You're just using the name variable. You're creating a name variable, storing it to whatever our user puts in as their name, printing them a nice little welcome message, and then we're going to print their name out with a line break, just so we can separate it a little bit from our message. Looks a little cleaner to me, I think. So that's all we're going to do. Testing it. So our random this time is 18, and then welcome our actual variable works right there. So the reason to test very frequently is you want to make sure that you don't have crazy errors in your program. It's very difficult to go back and debug an entire program. However, if you do a little bit at a time, it very much helps. So the next thing, I'm going to do a little bit of copy as well, just to kind of save typing time, and I'll talk a little bit about it. So we want to ask our user to guess, and then we're going to do the same sort of thing here. We're going to print out the number they guessed, just to make sure we're storing it correctly. Now note some of the different things that we're working out here. So first off, our number, if we want to do math, we want to compare this to see if it matches another number. If you don't first turn it into an integer, then it is not going to work out so well for you. So we're then storing this input as an integer. And then the last bit right here, we're just controlling the output. So when you print this, it looks cleaner on the terminal if you print it with a little bit of a space. In Code Sculptor here, you won't be able to tell the difference. So this is another good spot to run it. So now, before we run it, we stored our user number variable as an integer. Remember, to print it out, you have to turn it back into a string. So we cast that to string before we do it so we don't get errors. So I'm going to guess, well, it doesn't matter. So guess a number between 1 and 25. I'll guess 10 this time. I guess 10. Yes, I indeed did do that. All right. So we're going to save the hardest part for last. And I'm just going to do one more little copy here. And we're just going to say bye-bye. So at the end of our program here, we'll just say, see you later, name, thanks for playing. A standard print statement here, we're concatenating our name variable so it looks more customized. We're putting a space in there too, again, to separate our outputs. So just to double check here, I'll guess 8 because that's our number. So 8 was our number. Welcome, Rob. You guessed 8. See you later, Rob. Thanks for playing. Is our message that prints out. So now, let's write the bulk of this program. We have a basic test and then a more detailed test. So we're assuming here that they entered a number. It is very important as you're writing programs to double check input, make sure that you're not going to have something that crashes. Now that said, it takes quite a lot of time. We don't necessarily want to do that right yet. We'll do it to an extent, not the extent probably you should if it's a more upper level program. So first off, we have a range where our number needs to be. So we're going to use, whenever we want to test a condition, we use if. And in this case, we're going to take our user number, lazy typer, sorry. We're going to say that we want our range to be, as we said up here, between 1 and whatever we set as our limit. So if it is greater than or equal to 1, and if our user number is less than or equal to our random limit. So we have that rand limit set right up here. So the first thing is we're going to test that. Is this actually within our range? And we'll have the second part of this statement. We'll have an else. So if we're good, I'm going to just go ahead and put a nice little print statement here that, again, we'll get from off the screen, that it's a legitimate guess. If it's not good, then we're going to say, oopsies, sorry, that's not within our range. So this is our first spot. This is yet another spot, not our first spot, another spot to test. So if we enter 22, that is a legitimate guess. So we're set. Now if we don't, if we enter, we'll say 33, say, oops, that's not within our range. And we combine this. We use this and word right here. So this and word combines it. So it has to meet two conditions. It has to be both greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to the limit we set. It has to meet both conditions for that to pass. Additionally, the reason to put greater than or equal to 1 is somebody for some reason enters negative 33. That would be my name. My bad. Hold on. So if I guess negative 33, we say, oops, that's not within our range. It'll be fine. Now, of course, the spot where this will break is if we enter like a letter. And then all of a sudden you'll get this red message that says, hey, it's crazy, that can't work. You're right. You can't turn R into a number. It just doesn't work like that. So that is the downside to this program. And like I said, we're not worrying about that at this moment. So we've tested. We have a legitimate guess. The last step to make this program work is we are actually going to nest an if statement inside of an if statement. Nesting means to put one thing inside of another. So assuming that we have a legitimate guess, we're going to do one more statement here to actually see where this number lies. So for me, oops, wrong thing. Another lazy typer, sorry. If our user number actually does match our R1 variable. So remember, we set R1 as our random. We will go ahead, we'll print sorry, wrong key. Our little message here that says, yay, I'm so impressed, you got it, whoopee. Amazing. So we have three more options, actually. So if we want to test multiple things, multiple conditions, we can also use this elif. So then we have our user number. And the second option is our user number can be greater than our R1. And if it's greater than, we want to print a message to our user telling them that, oops, that was too high. Option 2 there is if our user number is indeed lower than our random, then we go ahead and we print a message to the user saying that's too low. And then the last option that you can account for here is going to be anything else. Now, if anything happens, if it's not the same, lower or higher, I don't know exactly what condition that would be or how that would work. But we're just going to put this else on here just in case our user does something super crazy that we have no idea how they did it. Say, well, when something went wrong, we've all gotten the oops, something went wrong message in one way or another. And that's why something unforeseen happened. So that's our option. So we have this if statement to test nested inside of our master if statement here to test and see if we have a legitimate input. We should never have this else met, but you never know. So let's run it and see if it works. As you run this extensively to double check it. I know it's tough to enter all the stuff. So our number is 21. So that was a legitimate guess. I'm impressed you got it. Thanks for playing. Everything worked out. So our guess is 10. Our number is 10, so we got 13. So say, nope, that was too high. Every now and then something goes wrong. That's why you want to test low, high, and equals. Test them all out. because sometimes you did something a little wrong, and you're like, hey, wait, that should be wrong. So it's 5. We want to say 1. Nope, that was too low. Everything is indeed as it should be. So that's our very first version of Number Guess. We have a lot of different things in here. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Otherwise, that's it. Make sure you submit your code when you are done, and we'll see you for the next one.